Assessing body fat percentage. So I'm going to contradict myself a lot in today's video because body fat percentage number, it is important, but it also isn't important. I think that people need to realize there's not a magic body fat percentage number to an extent. For some people, getting down to 10% body fat, which is very, very lean, you might not look as good as you want because you might not carry as much muscle mass. So therefore you might need to do, you know, another bulk or a gaining phase, which is going to mean that you're going to have to gain more body fat to gain more weight. So it's never going to be something that's static, and it should be based upon what your goals are. Obviously, if you're wanting to build muscle bulk, then you're probably going to have to gain some body fat percentage. If you're wanting to stay relatively lean, then somewhere between, you know, maybe 12 to 15% is going to be a good place for some people, maybe 15 to 18% for other people. This is for men, by the way, as well, to maintain. And the reason why I say that is that being sub 10% body fat before, you're not going to feel great a lot of the time, especially as you start to really get into those single digit numbers. You know, libido's going to go, your energy levels aren't going to be as high. It's going to be difficult for you to maintain and stay there. So there's no magic, let's say, body fat percentage number, but it's definitely something that I wouldn't ignore. However, today's video is not talking about body fat percentage and what numbers we should be aiming for, etc. What it is about is how I assess body fat percentage, how I see people do it, and what my preferred method is. So let me start by telling you a little bit of a story to begin with. So when I started my postgraduate certificate in sports nutrition, the university I was at, we did a little bit of a test on body fat percentage. Now, we actually did 3 different ways. I'm going to review these today because these are the most common ones as well of assessing somebody's body fat percentage. So I got my body fat taken by calipers, by somebody who was a registered ISAK, I believe it is, who was qualified and had been tested in order to be able to take people's body fat percentage accurately. I also got it taken using a bioelectrical impedance analysis. This is where you can have it done by using the scales or a handheld device. And then I actually got the DEXA as well, which is kind of like one of the gold standards for having your body fat percentage taken. So this was almost probably about 10 years ago now. I got all 3 methods done, and it was really interesting, the results actually. So both the calipers and the BIA, I came out at around 6%, and then the DEXA I came out at 11%. So you can see there, just there's such a huge variety in terms of what the actual percentage number was. Now, most people would say, well, 2 of the tests came out that you were 6% and 1 came out that you're 11%, so surely you'd go with the 6%, potentially. But then we're going to come into some of the benefits and negatives of those, and we're also going to go through the DEXA, and even though it is classed as one of the gold standards, how there is, you know, errors as well with the DEXA. So let's go through the first one. Let's go through calipers. So for anybody that doesn't know, calipers is where you've got 2 metal or plastic prongs, and basically there's different tests you can do, but it's anywhere usually ranging from about 4 up to, I think there's an 11 site measurement, but the most common one is around 7 sites, where you'll take pinchers. You usually take 3 pinchers at each site. That works out the average. You put it into a kind of a calculator, and it'll give you what your estimated body fat percentage will be. So the good thing about the calipers, it is easy to do. It's also cost effective because calipers, although the metal calipers can be quite pricey, I think they're about £200. This is a while back, I'm sure you can get them cheaper than that now. But also in terms of that, if you're going to get them done properly, to hire somebody who is I believe it's ISAK qualified, it's probably not going to be cheap for that hour or however, well, wouldn't take an hour, but to hire them to do that test. Now, the drawbacks for the calipers. So I've worked at gyms where I've done caliper testing as well, and there definitely is human error. So what do I mean by human error? Well, let's say me and you watching this video now, we're going to take Sunday, random person here's body fat percentage. You might grab a bit more skin than me, you might grab it in a different site to me. Yes, you are supposed to do certain centimetre measurements if you're going to do it correctly, but there is obviously, with any test that's administered by, you know, a human, there's going to be an element of human error in there as well, and that can really affect body fat percentage. Also as well with calipers, I'm not going to write it down for this, but if you're a coach or if you're a personal trainer, doing the calipers with somebody before, I've had this once in the past where this person was a rather large individual, so trying to like grab their fat in certain positions was difficult to do and just felt a bit awkward. And it's quite a very, you know, one of those tests where you're grabbing somebody's fat, and depending upon the sites that you're taking, it's just sometimes a little bit, I don't know, I'm not a big fan of the calipers, if you can probably tell by the way. But the positives of it is, it's easy to do, it's cost effective. However, the negatives, and a big negative of it, is there's a lot of human error involved, and I suppose it can be quite invasive with your clients as well. Okay, the second one, so the bioelectrical impedance analysis. So this can be the handheld devices, this can be the scales, which most people will typically have. So again, I'm going to say it's easy to do, it's cost effective. However, it is inaccurate. And the reason why I say that is the bioelectrical, the BIA, can come down to lots of things. So it can come down to your hydration levels, it can come down to the quality of the device, it can come down to recent nutrition intake, it can come down to exercise. So there's lots and lots of factors that can come into it. So I tend to find the BIA is often quite inaccurate. However, and I do want to add this in here, while it may be inaccurate, if it is consistently inaccurate, then you can still track trends. So what does that mean? Well, let's say you jump on the scales and it says that you're 25% body fat, for instance. Then you've started a diet, next month you jump on and it says that you're 24% body fat or something like that. Well, okay, while it might be, those numbers might be inaccurate, you can still see that your body fat percentage is coming down. So again, while I wouldn't be too caught up and too keen on the BIA, it is one of those that it's going to be kind of like a consistent inaccurate measurement, if that makes sense. Okay, so let's go on to the DEXA. So what are the positives about the DEXA? So I've put accurate and then I've put accurate-ish. Depending upon how you do the DEXA, if you've standardized it, then it can be accurate. But what I typically tend to see from a lot of people who do the DEXA scans is it's not standardized. So when you do a DEXA scan, you need to be making sure that you are in the same hydration status, you've slept the same the night before, you've exercised at similar times and day, and you've done it in very, very similar conditions. I believe even wearing the same clothes and small things like that can come down to it. Otherwise, it can have a massive difference in the reading. If you were to exercise before it, it can massively affect it. So while the DEXA is good that, you know, it's going to be accurate-ish, if you then come to retest yourself and you don't do it in the same conditions, then it's going to be an inaccurate reading. So that's kind of why I don't like the DEXA, and also as well, it's expensive. Like DEXAs aren't cheap to do. I don't know where you're watching this from, but they're usually, let's say, like $100, $100 US, something like that, probably to do a DEXA scan. So it's not the cheapest, it's not the easiest thing to do, which is why I'm not the biggest fan of DEXA. So based on this information then, how would I say to assess body fat percentage? So this is what I do with my clients. I assess their body fat percentage every month, but I do that from photos. Now, there's probably going to be a lot of people watching that saying, well, that's even more inaccurate. And yes, to an extent, it is in some ways. However, I've done it for a long period of time now. I'm very good at looking at somebody and being able to roughly determine what somebody's body fat percentage is, because I cross-reference that using a website as well in order to see what body fat percentages of people are. What I also do like about the photos is as long as you standardize them. Now, my standardization method for this is making sure that it's first thing in the morning before anything to eat or drink, same lighting, same place, ideally on the same day each month. If you are doing the photos like that, that's the best way you can standardize it, rather than doing it after a workout or after something to eat where we're going to see changes. The other great thing about photos is that you can see change from one month to the next. Now, month on month, you're not going to see massive changes until you start really getting, below that, let's say 15% body fat or something. But on probably every 8 weeks, you are going to be able to see a big change. This is how I assess people's body fat percentage. I get them to do photos once a month. I get them to standardize it by doing it first thing in the morning before anything to eat or drink, ideally the same time of day and in the same location, and ideally with the same lighting. I try to get people to do them outdoors if they can, because natural lighting tends to work best. Sometimes with some of the other lighting, like you can have shade on and you can't quite get the full picture of what's going on with somebody's body fat percentage. It's also very cost effective, it's easy to do, it's not going to take up heaps and heaps of time as well, sending off somebody for a DEXA once a month, which is going to cost a lot, or once every 8 weeks, which is going to cost a lot of money and take a lot of the time up as well. So just to recap, assessing body fat percentage, there is no magic body fat percentage number you need to be aiming for, but there are guidelines for when you are wanting to lose weight, maintain your weight and bulking, and again, that's maybe another a video for another time that I'll make. But the different ways of assessing body fat percentage, or the most common ones, is calipers, the bioelectrical impedance analysis, DEXA, And obviously the positives and negatives kind of boil down to the cost, how easy it is to do, and if there's any human error as well. The main thing though with all these tests, I'm not saying any of them are bad or you shouldn't be using them. All I would say is with any of the methods that you do decide to use, make sure you're standardizing it like I do with my preferred methods, which is the photos, in terms of trying to do the same photos, ideally roughly the same time of day, before anything to eat or drink, first thing in the morning, in a similar location with similar lighting. All right, hopefully that's answered up some questions on how to assess your body fat. Again, guys, any questions, please leave them in the comments below or shoot me a message on Instagram.